Hello everybody, I hope all of you are doing fine and are safe and healthy. This is José Luis Gomez, your music director of your Tucson Symphony Orchestra. Welcome again to this new video release of our digital stage, digital season, with one of our TSO dialogues, this time with one of our incredibly talented musicians, our principal clarinetist, Dario Brignoli. Welcome, Dario.
Hi, how you doing, Jose?
I'm doing fine. This is a very, very special dialogue that is part of a Beethoven 250th birthday anniversary, in which we will be featured the beautiful septet for violin, viola, clarinet, horn, bassoon, cello, and bass. But before we get into the Beethoven theme somehow, let's just get to know a little bit of Dario. Maybe some of you know him because not only he's an amazing clarinetist, but also a very open person, very friendly. Everybody, loves him. And I think it's just not also because of his personality, but also because he comes from a very beautiful country that I happen to know very well. He comes from Italy. He's from Milano. He's been, I think you've been raised obviously in Italy and also trained as a clarinetist over there and in Scandinavia. But you played in a very important youth orchestra called the Luigi Cherubini Youth Orchestra with Maestro Riccardo Muti. So what has been that for you? I mean, you're Italian. Music runs through your veins very easily. But when you are part of something of certain importance, such as playing with Maestro Muti, that is a big thing for everybody, I guess, but for you especially.
Yeah, it's been a very important step of my career. I auditioned for that orchestra when I was 21 years old. Probably I was not ready yet to play in an orchestra, but luckily the jury thought that I was good enough. And then eventually I was called to play. It's important to say that the first concert was in Salzburg, and I had to choose between going to the wedding of my sister and going playing with Muti. And this is one of the orchestra in which they go by call. So if you refuse a call, then they won't call you again. So I had to say yes, and luckily, with the support with my sister that encouraged me to go, I played in that orchestra. I played that concert, and then I played in that orchestra for 4 years and a half, and it's been extremely important for my growth and understanding how the orchestra works. Muti is a very mythological, legendary conductor, and obviously there was a little bit of fear and reference for this figure, and in reality as a youth orchestra it treat us as his nephews and nieces, so it was very helpful and understanding, and really opened my mind excuse me, it opened my mind about what it means to play in an orchestra and to be conducted by somebody that actually know what he's doing. And so it had been extremely important for my growth. And we played a lot of operas, but also symphonic, and a lot of things about how the orchestra's works became clear because of him.
Wonderful. Well, that's an amazing experience. But you came to the US right after that time a little bit. I mean, you came to LA, I believe so.
Yes, so in the middle there, after concluding my experience with that orchestra, I decided to open an association with two composers, and I've been very dedicated to contemporary music, and especially to create a bridge between composers and audience. So we did courses in which we were explaining what are the elements of music and what you need to know to understand and listen to a contemporary classical piece of music. And so I was the president of this association for a couple of years, and then I decided to go back to school, and actually I moved to Copenhagen, where I took my master. I played with a few different professional orchestras in Denmark. And then unsuccessful in my audition, I decided to go study in Los Angeles with the best teacher in the world, Yehuda Gilad, who helped me in 9 months to get ready to win the audition in the Tucson Symphony Orchestra.
Well, that's wonderful, and we're so lucky to have someone like you playing with us. I mean, the Tucson Symphony is full of amazing talent, such as Dario is, and also you are part of this fantastic orchestra, the Grand Park Orchestra in Chicago, right?
Hmm. Yeah, the Grand Park Music Festival Orchestra plays in the middle of Chicago in the Millennium Park. I took the audition uh, last spring and I played with them last summer. Very busy orchestra. The program is only 10 weeks long, but we do two programs each week, so there is really no time to breathe, but it's extremely powerful because we play outside and we also rehearse outside, so the audience is always there. And the weather in Chicago, usually in the summer it's warm, but last year was also extremely cold in the first weeks. So there are all the problems of playing outside, including using microphones and extremely high quality sound system, but there are very few reference, so I can barely hear the strings, and everything is done with the help of the conductor that really help us stay together. But is an extremely high quality orchestra. Is basically an all-star in which the concertmeister comes from Pittsburgh, and the principal double bass is from Portland, and so there are orchestra really from east to west, and it's beautiful to play with such a group of musicians.
Well, that's wonderful. I mean, that everybody should have a chance to get to not only to listen to Dario with us, the Tucson Symphony, but also during the summer at this wonderful Grand Park Festival, music festival in Chicago. So now we know Dario very well, a little bit more maybe of what you knew him. But Dario is going to be playing this wonderful septet Beethoven, which has a mix ensemble. So without getting into the specifics of Beethoven, and because we played the last the first 8 symphonies in the last season, and so we're looking forward for that ninth symphony that was going to happen in December, but through the due to the pandemic it couldn't happen. But we thought of trying to find something that we could at least make a little bit of that birthday celebration. I think this septet captures that because it's a mixed ensemble. So there is a lot of difference between playing in a woodwind ensemble and then when you mix with other instruments. It's a little bit like the orchestra, but in a more intimate way. Do you find it challenging? Do you find it a little more like at home because you play in orchestra and you're used to it? Or do you feel more comfortable playing in the woodwind only ensemble in this case?
There are obviously a lot of differences between playing in the orchestra, playing in the chamber music setup. So in here, I think the most interesting thing is that we are to the orchestra to the bones. So it's a one instrument. We are very naked. We really need to listen to each other. We need to be a little bit more aware of the balance of the volumes, because obviously a single violin is not as does not have the power of sound of a single clarinet, or so we need to be a little bit more aware of this one. But it's very I think it's very interesting to have all these possible colors, and it's a very complete piece of music, I believe, because there are a lot of different emotions and different setups. So I think it's interesting to play this piece of music. Obviously, it's not as famous and well recognized as the Ninth Symphony, but we'll try to make it as pleasant as possible for the audience.
Oh well, you will, but there is a famous minuet. That minuet, I mean, at least for us in Europe, and I'm sure for many people, because it was part of, in my case, it was part of a cartoon. It had that as the music of this cartoon, this beautiful minuet that I'm sure many of you will recognize. But it's like you say, it's a very complete piece of music. It's Beethoven being a little bit more experimental, not to the extent of the late quartets, but experimental into the mixing of the sounds and the colors and all those great things that you could see in the symphonies as well, right? Because the symphonies,
Right.
I mean, briefly, do you have a favorite that you remember from the last season that you think this is the symphony that now it's one of my favorites, or you always had one that you want to share with us?
So I did not have a lot of experience playing the Beethoven symphonies. I think before getting the job in Tucson, I only played the first and the second. So maybe the third, but the symphonies with the big clarinet solos, like the fourth or the sixth, the eighth symphony, I never really played them before with the orchestra, so was challenging, and I was very happy to finally play with the orchestra's excerpts that I've been playing for now 10 years, 12 years. So it was very interesting and challenging to see what are the differences, because it's a completely different sport. We need to prepare those excerpts, imagining the orchestra, and then when you actually have 60 people around you helping playing a solo, you realize that you are not so free. You need to play with others, and this feeling of surfing on the top of harmonies and rhythm, and being able to say your line together, supported by the other musicians. So it's been eye-opening. Now I know for sure how to play these excerpts better. I know what actually it feels like to play with others, and yeah, I realized that for how much I practice them at home, then play them in concert it's a completely different challenge, is a completely different feeling, and it's much more fulfilling for sure.
Well, and I can tell you, and all of you know, I mean, if you remember from the concerts, that not only Dario but the full orchestra really delivered a wonderful concerts, and visitations of these great symphonies that sometimes it's like you're saying, there's those ones that probably so more or less people play very often, fifth, seventh. But when you get to those ones that are the ones that get the most famous clarinet solos, so the fourth, the eighth, the sixth, even though the sixth is very famous as well, those ones are the ones that are a little bit less heard. So it's great to get the chance to play them as many times as possible, to have different memories of how to do it, and for the next time then you have some kind of more information, more baggage to for that next performance and for that next interpretation. Dario, thank you so much for being with us this time, for sharing all these great things, to get the chance for everybody to get to know you more. We miss all of you being on stage. We miss the orchestra being on stage. I miss the orchestra. I'm sure all of you that are watching this, you miss us as well. But in the meantime, there is a lot of great releases that we're going to have, not only the septet, but all these wonderful surprises that we have for this month as well, and for the ones that I'm sure you have seen before. So stay always tuned for all these great things that we're planning on the digital season, and I can wait to see you again for the next video. Thank you, Dario. Be safe.
Thank you, Jose.
Bye.
Stay well. Bye.